like a note on a calendar. The end of summer was coming. Fall was on its way. Reacher stood still, and behind him the train moved away without him, straining, grinding, settling to a slow rat-a-tat rhythm, and then accelerating, its building slipstream pulling at his clothes. He was the only passenger who had gotten out, which was not surprising. The place was no kind of a commuter hub. It was all agricultural. What token passenger facilities it had were wedged between the elevators and the huge shed, and were limited to a compact building which seemed to have both a ticket window and benches for waiting. It was built in a traditional railroad style, and it looked like a child's toy, temporarily set down between two shiny oil drums. But on a signboard running its whole length was written the reason Reacher was there. Mother's Rest, which he had seen on a map, and which he thought was a great name for a railroad stop. He figured the line must cross an ancient wagon train trail, right there, where something had happened long ago. Maybe a young pregnant woman went into labor. The jostling could not have helped. Maybe the wagon train stopped for a couple of weeks, or a month. Maybe someone remembered the place years later. A descendant, perhaps. A family legend. Maybe there was a one-room museum. Or perhaps there was a sadder interpretation. Maybe they had buried a woman there, too old to make it. In which case, there would be a commemorative stone. Either way, Reacher figured he might as well find out. He had no place to go, and all the time in the world to get there, so detours cost him nothing. Which is why he got out of the train. To a sense of disappointment initially. His expectations had been way off base. He had pictured a couple of dusty houses and a lonely one-horse corral, and the one-room museum, maybe run part-time on a volunteer basis, maybe by an old guy from one of the houses, or the headstone, maybe marble, behind a square wrought iron fence. He had not expected the immense agricultural infrastructure. He should have, he supposed. Grain, meet the railroad. It had to be loaded somewhere. Billions of bushels and millions of tons each year. He stepped left and looked through a gap between structures. The view was dark, but he could sense a rough semicircle of habitation. Houses, obviously, for the depot workers. He could see lights, which he hoped were a motel, or a diner, or both. He walked to the exit, skirting the pools of vapor light purely out of habit. But he saw that the last lamp was unavoidable because it was set directly above the exit gate. So he saved himself a further perimeter diversion by walking through the next-to-last pool of light, too. At which point, a woman stepped out of the shadows. She came towards him with a distinctive burst of energy, 2 fast paces, eager, like she was pleased to see him. Her body language was all about relief. Then it wasn't. Then it was all about disappointment. She stopped dead, and she said, "Oh." She was Asian, but not petite, 5'9" maybe, or even 5'10", and built to match, not a bone in sight. No kind of a willowy waif. She was about 40, Reacher guessed, with black hair worn long, with jeans and a t-shirt under a short cotton coat. She had lace-up shoes on her feet. He said, "Good evening, ma'am." She was looking past his shoulder. He said, "I'm the only passenger." She looked him in the eye. He said, "No one else got out of the train, so I guess your friend isn't coming."
"My friend?"
she said. A neutral kind of accent, regular American, the kind he heard everywhere. He said, "Why else would a person be here except to meet the train? No point in coming otherwise. I guess normally there'd be nothing to see at midnight." She didn't answer. He said, "Don't tell me you've been waiting here since 7 o'clock.
"I didn't know the train was late," she said. "There's no cell signal."